Welcome to practice. I'm Casey and this is May, and today we're going to be starting our series on the Enneagram or the Yinneagram series. Today we're going to be talking about Enneagram Type One. If you haven't already watched the intro video I have for this series on my channel, please go over there and watch that, as I've described a lot of things that I won't be describing in these videos, such as what the Enneagram wings are, the Enneagram stress and integration points, how to find out your Enneagram number if you want to do it very officially by a test, and things like that. Also, how the channel is going to have classes going, as that might be a little confusing if you don't watch the intro video. So I would just suggest hopping over there, watching that real quick, then coming back for practice. As I said, today we're going to be working with the Enneagram Type One. Type One's passion or vice is anger. Because of that, we're also going to be working with the liver meridian. When the liver meridian energy is either in excess or depleted, we can tend to feel a lot of anger. We're also going to be working with twists today, as twists are intuitive in our body, meaning that when you hold a twist, your body decides where the stretch needs to go, not your mind, which, as we'll talk about, is something that is kind of a growing point for Enneagram Types number 1. I'm going to read a quick selection from the book The Road Back to You by Crone and Stable. This is just what it's like to be a 1, so maybe you don't know your Enneagram type. This is just a quick overview right here at the top to see, or maybe it'll help trigger in your mind other people who are 1s who you can be listening in for on how to understand them a little bit better. People have told me I can be overly critical and judgmental. I beat myself up when I make mistakes. I don't feel comfortable when I try to relax. There is too much to be done. I don't like it when people ignore or break the rules, like when the person in the fast lane at the grocery store has more items than allowed. Details are important to me. I often find that I'm comparing myself to others. If I say I'll do it, I'll do it. I like routine and don't readily embrace change. I do my best when working on a project, and I wish others would do the same so I wouldn't have to redo their work. I often feel like I try harder than others to do things correctly. For practice today, I would suggest grabbing a blanket and a bolster if you have it, or a bedroom pillow. Today, our pillow, we're kind of going a little bit more with length rather than height. So if you want to just grab a couch pillow, I would suggest 2 today. I'm so excited to get started. So meet me back here in a seated position. We're going to start practice today with a breathing technique. This is a good way to focus and center us before practice, but also to take into your life when you need it. This is called box breath or 4 parts breath. Find a comfortable seated position. You may want to sit up on a blanket. It may help to imagine your breath making a square inside your chest. Inhaling up, holding, exhaling down, holding. Close your eyes and breathe normally a few times. Exhale all the way out. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Retain. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and practice on your own a few times. We're going to release control of our breath now and allow it to go back to your natural rhythm. You can use this method of breathing seated, standing, or lying down. Box breathing is helpful when trying to attain calmness, to practice before responding to a high-stress situation, when trying to sleep, and to give the monkey mind a break by focusing on something. Make your way onto all fours, just taking a moment here to bring awareness to your body. Be purposeful here in beginning our physical practice. Push the palms into the floor. Push the shins into the floor as if you could easily lift your knees off the mat. Imagine a long, strong spine and a neck and head in alignment with it. Bring the big toes together. Spread the knees as wide as comfortable here and sit back into a wide knee child's pose. We want the knees quite wide here because this targets and warms up the liver meridian line, which is what we will be focusing on for this practice. Also, check how your shoulders and back feel here. Energetically move toward a nice stretch there, as we will also be doing twists today. When we talk about Enneagram numbers, there is quite a bit of individuality even within the number itself. A large factor in your personality right now is labeled as healthy, average, or unhealthy, meaning different states within that type. The Enneagram website says an average one will be dissatisfied with reality. They are high-minded idealists, feeling that it is up to them to improve everything. Ones are afraid of making a mistake, and everything must be consistent with their ideals. Ones are orderly and well organized, but impersonal, puritanical, emotionally constricted, rigidly keeping their feelings and impulses in check. They are often workaholics. Unhealthy ones can be highly dogmatic, self-righteous, intolerant, and inflexible. They will begin dealing in absolutes. They alone know the capital T truth. Everyone else is wrong. They are very severe in judgments. They become obsessive about imperfection and the wrongdoing of others, although they may fall into contradictory actions, hypocritically doing the opposite of what they preach. Ones at their best are extremely principled, always want to be fair, objective, and ethical, conscientious, with strong personal convictions. They have an intense sense of right and wrong. By accepting what is, they become transcendently realistic, knowing the best action to take in each moment. Slowly close the legs and sit up in a kneeling position. Feel the energy start to move in your inner thighs, signaling a waking up of liver energy. Bring the legs out in front of you and lay on your back. Bend your knees and plant your feet on your mat. Rest your right ankle on your left thigh. Lift the left foot off the floor, threading your right hand through the hole you've made, clasping your left hand under your thigh. Alternatively, you can clasp hands around the left shin, being mindful of stressing the knee. Using your hands, bring the whole shape toward your chest. If you find this is uncomfortable for your knees or your head and shoulders are trying to lift off, gently let the left foot rest on the floor. You can also take this shape up a wall. People use various words for this, but each Enneagram type has a major sin or vice or passion. This is just the aspect of that number that we tend to go to as an unhealthy coping mechanism. Not that the aspect in itself is unhealthy, such as fear or anger, but when we let those types of emotions go unchecked, it's generally not good. The passion of the one is anger. Ask a one if they have anger problems, and they would probably give an emphatic no. But that's because ones see anger as a weakness, so they refuse to express it. In The Road Back to You, Cron and Stable say, anger is the deadly sin of ones, but resentment is actually a better word. Ones believe the world judges people who don't follow the rules, control their emotions, behave appropriately, and keep their basic animal instincts in check. Ones stuff their anger until it sits right below the surface, where it expresses itself to everyone as smoldering resentment. In addition to stuffing down anger, ones feel anger at the fact that they see others behaving in their eyes in the wrong way and not getting punished for it. Slowly drop this shape with your legs to the left, so your right foot is planted on the floor, left outer leg on the ground. You can stay here for this twist variation, emphasizing the sensation to the thigh, or stack your right leg on top of your left, emphasizing the twist. Maybe try both and see what feels good in your body. In either shape, bring your right arm out long on the floor, turning your head to the right. Remember, we are integrating twists into this practice because they are intuitive in your body. Your body, not your mind, will decide where this stretch is needed. This is in contrast to the one's general way of life, which is planning and controlling. Let your body find what is best. In her book, The Enneagram, Helen Palmer lists that the generalities of ones are internal standards of correctness that can become puritanically demanding, a stream of self-criticizing thoughts, a compulsive need to act on what seems to be correct, doing the right thing, a belief in their own ethical and moral superiority, the better people, the top 10% who do things right, difficulty in recognizing real needs that do not conform to standards of correctness, mentally comparing oneself to others. Am I better or worse than they are? Concern about criticism from others. Are they judging me? Procrastination in decision making, stemming from the fear of making a mistake. Do-gooder. Displacement of the anger generated by unmet needs toward what appear to be legitimate outside targets. The emergence of two selves, the worried self who lives at home and the playful self who comes out away from home. A way of paying attention that is based on correcting error, which can lead to superb powers of criticism and a background awareness of the potential for perfection in any given situation, against which by comparison error stands out as the foreground perception. Think how perfect it could be. Bring the knees up. Plant the feet on the mat. Come to a seat. Bring the feet into a butterfly shape. Swing your right leg behind you so your left foot is touching your right thigh, right foot near the glutes. Ground both of your sitting bones and purposefully keep them both on the mat. This is the key to this posture. Find length in the spine and twist towards the left leg from the shoulders, not the core. You'll likely find a deeper hip stretch if you stay upright in your twist. Play with how far you move your right foot away from your torso. The farther you can move it, the deeper the stretch in your inner thigh, which is where your liver meridian runs. The Enneagram is a circle with 9 points or types. Each type points to one number where they go in stress, or sometimes called disintegration, and one number where they go in security or integration. Type 1 goes to a Type 4 in stress. This means that the Type 1 will begin taking on unhealthy 4 aspects and could even be mistyped as a 4. Millenniagram author Hannah Posh writes, "An unhealthy 1 is a terrifying thing to behold. 1s go to 4 in unhealth, which means they internalize all the outsider complex and nobody gets it nature of the 4, while still espousing their unmeetable expectations. This spiral sends them hurtling away from relationships and connection and into self-pity territory, which is a horrible, murky place that sucks them into the ground like a never-ending story-level swamp. 1s moving toward unhealthy 4s become more resentful of others, depressed, and very sensitive to criticism." Bring your right leg back in front of you. Come to a tabletop position. Bring your right knee to your right wrist. Bring your hips and back leg down. Untuck your left foot, resting the top of the foot and the shin on the floor. Look back, checking your left leg is straight behind you. If your right sits bone is hovering, go ahead and place a blanket underneath you. Options for your torso here: stay upright, rest on palms, rest on forearms, or come all the way down into sleeping swan. You can place a pillow under your torso if you need a little space and cushioning. A 1 in security or integration moves towards a healthy 7. Hannah says, a 1 in stability will integrate to 7 and live fully present in the here and now, not only with friends and lovers, but also with their true selves. By integrating to a 7, they have the capacity to tap into their lightheartedness, enjoy adventures and other delightfully unplanned things, and to express their gut emotions instead of repressing them. Integration for a 1 means owning their intuition, recognizing their wisdom comes from their body, not in spite of it. 1s moving toward a healthy 7 can see more of what is right with the world than what is wrong with it. Gently using your hands, bring your torso upright. Tuck your left toes, elevate your left knee, kick your right leg back and come into a downward facing dog. Take a second here to feel how different your two legs feel. Drop the knees, coming to all fours, then lower onto your belly. Bring your elbows under your shoulders and scoot them up about an inch. Check in with your legs. Relax your feet, thighs, and glutes. Push into the ground with your elbows, creating space in your upper back. Roll your shoulders up and down your back to keep the shoulders from creeping up to the ears. It may feel good to put a folded up blanket under your elbows and forearms. If this feels tight in your back, move your elbows forward. If this feels tight in your shoulders, move your elbows out to the sides. It is widely frowned upon to try and type children. They are growing and changing and don't need extra voices in their heads telling them who they are. Thus, the discussion of types as children is meant as reflection for adults, not as typing for children. Ones, as children, tended to be model boys and girls. They knew the rules and tried to follow them. A good example of this would be Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. She follows the rules and has problems when others don't. Ones, as children, also constantly compare themselves to others. Like adult ones, they tend to shy away from activities or sports they aren't good at. They may take responsibility for things that aren't their fault, and they aren't very good multitaskers, as they want to do each task perfectly. The message they were never told or did not internalize as children is, you are good, you are enough. You can make mistakes or bad choices, and you are still good. You are still enough. Move your elbows out to either side of the mat, resting your head onto the tops of your hands. Roll over onto your back. Bend your knees, planting your feet on the floor. Rest your left ankle on your right thigh. Lift the right foot off the floor, threading your left hand through, clasping your right hand under your right thigh. Using your hands, bring the whole shape toward your chest. Remember, you can let the right foot rest on the floor or take this shape up the wall. If you picture that circle with 9 points, you would see there is a 9 and a 2 on either side of point 1. These are Enneagram wings. You will lean toward one of your wing numbers, which further shapes your personality. In her book, Take Care of Your Type, Christina S. Wilcox writes, ones with a 9 wing are usually reserved and self-composed, but are emotionally generous when you crack open their shell. They are visionaries and more prone than 1 wing 2s to optimistic thinking. They can forget to speak up in moments of pressure because they don't want to be seen as angry or demanding. A 1 wing 2 are more focused on empathy and community rather than the big picture a 1 wing 9 thinks of. Rather than perfecting society, they want to perfect those around them. They put a lot of pressure on themselves to be the perfect child, spouse, friend, or coworker. 1-wing 2s are advice givers, wise, and emotionally expressive. As we did before, drop this shape to the right, so your left foot is planted on the floor, right outer leg on the ground. You can stay here for this twist variation, emphasizing the sensation to the thigh, or stack your left leg on top of your right, emphasizing the twist. Again, maybe try both and see which way your body feels best. Maybe you aren't a type 1, but you do love one. Understanding the Enneagram types can help us in an extraordinary way to love people for who they truly are in a way they will see and feel. It's so important to practice loving people as the individual they are in our lives. We can't simply show someone love the way we want to receive it, as they might not interpret it as a loving gesture the way we do. A few tips Abby Howe states on her YouTube channel for loving a 1 include being mindful of adding to their stress. This means things like proofreading texts for grammar and spelling mistakes, keeping your living space clean, and taking on your fair share of household responsibilities. Your 1 is likely to be passionate about a cause, so learn about that cause, contribute to it if you can, or help your 1 support the cause. Because 1s are all about self-improvement, set personal goals and talk about them with your 1. Lastly, plan a fun activity or vacation with your 1, but you do the planning and deciding all the way down to the meals. That way your 1 can check out from their responsibilities and enjoy just being present. bring the legs up. Plant the feet on the mat. Come to a seat. Bring your feet into a butterfly shape, soles of the feet together. Swing your left leg behind you so your right foot is touching your left thigh, left foot near the glutes. Ground both of your sitting bones. Find length in the spine. On an exhale, twist towards the right leg. Experiment on this side with how far you can move your left foot away from your glutes while maintaining your sits bones staying on the ground. Our Enneagram types will influence us spiritually. This is a super broad topic, so because of that, I will be talking in super broad terms. An Enneagram 1 may find themselves in a spiritual or religious rut by being overly critical of their spiritual community or gatherings. A 1 may see so many ways to improve, they detach from relationships and emotional connections. A 1 may discover they are doing so many things to contribute to their religion or faith community that they have lost the ability to rest in their faith. They will also be prone to seeing the downfalls in others and feeling resentment that others aren't acting as a 1 would think like they should. 1s routinely meditate on your spirituality or your faith. Why do you believe what you do? What brings you comfort and peace? Where can you show your community compassion in their mistakes and where they don't meet your expectations? Bring your left leg in front of you. Come to a tabletop position. Bring your left knee to your left wrist, setting down your hips and your back knee. Untuck your right foot, resting the top of the foot and the shin on the floor, scooting it toward the bottom of your mat to find space in your hips. Look back, checking your right leg is straight behind you. Remember to take whatever modifications feel right on this side, which may be quite different than the other side. Fold to whatever depth feels good. Wilcox wrote an entire book on how to care for yourself based on your Enneagram type. but here are a few self-care ideas for Type 1s. 1s often come alive on vacation. Everyone enjoys a vacation, but 1s truly need this time to be away from perceived responsibilities or pressures. Type 1s love nostalgia, be it old movies, antiques, or personal photo albums. So take time to reflect on photo albums, journals, or anything else you've used over time to see how far you've come, to see how mistakes or accidents played out, and take note of how much you've grown. Celebrate the mundane. 1s can withhold rewards or celebrations until they feel like they've earned them. Recognize that you have so many wonderful gifts in your life and celebrate them. Celebrate for no reason at all, just to have fun. Incorporating impracticality is another way to self-care for a 1, so a party for no reason checks off 2 boxes. Lastly, find a creative outlet that you enjoy, even if you don't think you'll be good at it. There are a ton of resources available now for creativity for people who aren't artistically inclined, including adult coloring books, paint by number, and cooking, dance, and art tutorials online. Slowly bring your torso up. Tuck your right foot, lift the right knee, push back with your left leg into a downward facing dog. Notice from the last down dog we were in how your legs feel now that we have evened them out. Bring your knees down, sit back to a kneeling seat. Grab your bolster or pillows, maybe even 2. You want the pillows to be the length of your torso. Kick your heels out behind you in a sideways kneeling seat, resting your right sits bone to the floor. Place your thighs parallel and very close to the bottom of the pillow. Gently lay your stomach on the pillow for a restorative twist. If it's comfortable in the neck, look to the right. The Enneagram can be a huge key in helping us grow as individuals. The Enneagram does bring into the light our shortcomings or struggles, but also provides growing points for us to utilize. As 1s feel the need to be perfect or good, a helpful practice is to discover self-compassion. A growing 1 can accept that struggling, mistakes, and failures are a part of our humanity, and that it is a helpful and beautiful part of our growth. 1s have a loud and ever-present inner critic. One suggestion is to not try to ignore it, as that can sometimes make it louder, but to take the critique as an offering in growth that you may pick up or you may leave behind. Try to incorporate an inner encourager too, and grow your self-talk ability in a positive way. One's passion is anger. This can often be found as resentment. Know that this can cause the people around you to walk on eggshells with you. Learn to become comfortable with anger, knowing everyone feels it. Instead of shoving it down, allow yourself to admit you are angry and calmly and respectfully communicate it with the person you need to, instead of letting it turn into resentment. Very slowly, use the hands to walk your torso upright. Swing the legs under you to take the twist on the other side. Tuck the thighs under the pillow. Drape your stomach on the pillow. Turn your head to the left this time, if it's comfortable. I wanted to offer some practical tips to take off the mat if you are a 1. To recap a few that have already been mentioned: go on a vacation, comb through old journals, and communicate anger when you feel it. One of the most vital tips for a growing 1 is journaling any negative thoughts or criticisms you have about yourself. This will allow you to see the mean and critical thoughts you often say to yourself and be better able to call yourself out when you begin to do this. In addition to communicating with others when you feel anger, practice communicating to others when you are sad, happy, or discouraged. 1s tend to procrastinate if they don't feel they can do something perfectly. So notice when you are procrastinating and ask yourself why. Realize perfection gets in the way of you doing good things. Lastly, 1s can be quite critical of others, but it is common that they are very sensitive to taking criticisms. Contemplate how you take criticism and try to accept it without being defensive. Resist the urge to give others to-do lists or criticize them. Instead, offer compliments and encouragement. Gently use your hands to push your torso up. Move the pillows aside and lay all the way down on your back. If they aren't already and you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. Move your shoulders away from your ears. Check in that your shoulders are comfortable on the mat. Release any tension in the legs, allowing your feet to splay out. Rest your hands along your sides, wherever they feel comfortable. Relax your forehead, your eyes, your jaw. Release your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Completely let go in this posture. Part of loving ourselves will always be being our own champion. Sometimes we must speak gently with ourselves. Sometimes we must manifest what we want in this world when we don't have it or can't even believe it. Here are a few mantras that may be life-giving to a 1. Memorize them. Write them on post-its around you. Set timers with it as the label. Whatever you have to do to believe this. I make mistakes and move on. My feelings are worthy of my attention. My worth is not dependent on my goodness. I am doing my best. Slowly begin to bring movement back into your body. Wiggle your toes. Wiggle your fingers. Roll your wrists. Roll your ankles. Bring your knees up and roll onto one side. With eyes still closed and the focus inward for just a few more moments, come to a seat. I hope you'll continue on this Yinneagram journey with me through all the types. I upload a new video every Tuesday. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you've enjoyed this video. If you are not a one, I hope that this practice will help you love the ones in your life. Go ahead and flutter your eyelids open. If you are a one, I just want to say thank you for holding us all to a higher standard and helping bring passion and justice into our world. We absolutely need people like you. Please, dear one, give yourself a break. You are good and valued by just being you. Bring the palms of your hands together at your forehead. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and to that freedom for all. Namaste.